Our problem reaches far and wide. In all corners of the earth, e-waste is either found or created. Within the region of Asia, 50% of all e-waste can be found. While Europe has the largest e-waste per capita, our chosen topic explores how things will change in the next 20 years. It is relevant since, as said before, if a solution is not proposed, things will only get worse for developing countries. The topic we chose proposes a simple yet hard to implement solution: biodegradable electronics.
Between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, I'm trying hard to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
These technologies also have some important characteristics. Since most e-waste is very toxic, they bring in harmful chemicals like lead and cadmium, which can either cause some neurological damage to the organs, or lead to an early death. These advancements in these technologies will allow for a more active role in how e-waste is combated, and this will affect the amount of people being harmed by e-waste.
Hello, my name's Abdullah.
Hi, my name is Kyle.
And today we'll be interviewing Maryam Ibrahim. Maryam, would you like to talk about what you do for a living?
Yes, of course. So my name is Maryam Ibrahim. I am a fourth-year PhD student at the University of California, Irvine, and my research focuses on identifying the issues in the life cycle of electronic products, how we can design them to be more sustainable, and developing technology to be able to safely, effectively recycle resources from e-waste.
Cool. She's also she used to work for Microsoft and Apple, so she knows her stuff. So going with the first question, we're going to talk about some e-waste. How has e-waste impacted our environment today?
Yes, great question. So the topic of e-waste has very, very far-reaching consequences, and we could think of e-waste as being a legacy of toxicity in various parts of the world. So as you know, the majority of e-waste is not recycled within the US. It is exported to lower income countries, specifically in Asia, so China, and also various countries in Africa. Now, these countries, we extract a lot of resources from, and as you know, mining has disastrous effects on environmental and human health. But then again, we also send that toxic e-waste, which contains heavy metals like lead, cadmium, mercury, and we dispose of it in typically in landfills, or sometimes e-waste is dealt with through incineration. And there's a number of public health issues that arise from that. Specifically, a lot of those compounds have multiple organ toxicity and have contributed to population disease over the past few decades.
Very nice. Now on to the second question. What makes e-waste so dangerous, and what are the side effects of it?
Yes. Okay. So as I mentioned, there are two categories of toxic materials in e-waste. Those are the ones that are carbon-based, so they're organic. Typically, that is used to maintain the structural integrity of electronic components. That's basically what we rely on to have durable electronics. And then also the heavy metals, which again are the lead, the cadmium, the mercury, which tend to accumulate in our body. And then they can cause things like cancers, developmental diseases. A lot of children in China that grew up in e-waste recycling towns actually developed neuro deficiencies at an early age. So they develop ADHD, anger issues, and various other forms of pathological disease. Big problem.
Are there any current solutions being implemented to combat e-waste?
Yes. Okay. So there are kind of two sides to this question. One is the policy side. A lot of agencies are interested in trying to kind of persuade manufacturers to develop materials that are biodegradable and that have less toxicity. However, as you know, practical application of this is very difficult, and it's probably going to take place over a long period of time. We have e-waste now that we need to deal with, and it's going to keep accumulating. So part of my work at UC Irvine is basically to develop a sustainable recycling method for e-waste. And the goal of this is to scale it up at an industrial level. So the process is inherently low risk because it is non-thermal and non-chemical. And those are the two important things that you have to design into a process to make sure that toxic materials stay within the recycling system and do not, contaminate environmental media like soil, water, and air.
Okay. Do you think these solutions will prevent or prevent e-waste from developing more, or just reduce it?
Well, waste reduction is a very important kind of objective of end-of-life electronics or e-waste. In a way, we are transforming the e-waste. So we are basically extracting the materials, all of the materials, and kind of producing them in a form that they could be recirculated into manufacturing electronics and other kind of high-tech applications. So we want to think about e-waste as resources rather than waste. Yes, so that is what I'm doing.
One more question. In the next 20 years, what do you hope to see impact?
What I want to see in 20 years is basically going to, over the span of my career, basically over the span of my life, it's dedicated to, developing safe recycling solutions for e-waste. If we can accomplish that, then we can develop the regulations to support the technology being scaled up to industry. So we can actually use e-waste as an urban mining, a source of urban mining, meaning that instead of extracting materials, we recycle e-waste, extract the critical metals from the e-waste, like gold, copper, silver, platinum, palladium, which, by the way, are magnitudes higher in concentration than mined ore. So, for example, you can recycle more than 100 times the gold and more than 10 to 40% of critical metals from e-waste than if you mine. So the big question here is, how do we develop this technology? This is what I'm working on. And in 20 years, I want to see it scaled up across the nation and less reliance on mining and reducing these life cycle impacts.
All right. Thank you for your time.